Balance isn't about having it all together. It's about giving yourself grace. Hey friend, you're listening to Balancing the Scales, the podcast where we dive into real life, real talk, and real moments. I'm Tammy, wife, millennial mama of 2, and your new audio bestie. This is the space where we can talk about juggling the beautiful chaos of life, from friendships to relationships to having conversations about parenting and love and marriage to even some pop culture tea and everything in between that may cause the scales to tip sometimes. Because let's be honest, the juggle is real and you are not alone. So wherever you're listening from, grab your tea, your coffee, or your wine. I've got my cup too. It's time to turn the mic on and let's get into today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to Balancing the Scales with me, Tammy A. Thank you so much for joining me this week. And let's get right into it. Let's get right into our scale check. How is everyone doing? How has our week been going so far? We survived the holiday week or holiday weekend with Thanksgiving. So I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving, took some time to disconnect from social media and the outside world for a little bit and spend some of that great quality time with their family surrounded by love and all that good food. Our Thanksgiving here in the Atamy/Lindor household was good, as always, every year. We juggle between going to 2 houses. So we go to my husband's mom's house, my in-laws, and then we end the night at my parents' house. There's more people there. So it's just something that we've been doing really now since Vega was born. So like 5 years. And it was my daughter's first holiday, her first official holiday at the start of the holiday season. So everyone wanted to see her and to be around her. Of course, we took pictures, all those first pictures for her first Thanksgiving. So I think it was fun, adulthood, had work the next day on Black Friday. So was very tired and took the weekend to recuperate, but it was a great day, Thanksgiving Day. So our Thanksgiving morning, we watched the Macy's Thanksgiving parade. We've been watching it now for a couple of years, so that's, I guess, kind of our tradition, starting off the parade. And this was like very millennial based. Loved it. There was Ciara, Tiana Taylor performed, Lil Jon performed, Busta Rhymes performed a medley. Like, what? Me and my husband were like jamming in the family room, singing along to these songs, and our kids are looking at us like, what's happening? Especially Vega's reaction was like, what are you guys singing to? What are you guys dancing to? This is not cool. But it was cool for us. I think this year, this parade with the music song choice selections was great. The floats were cute. My son was excited to see some of his favorite characters, Spider-Man, Bluey, SpongeBob, I think, was there. All those things. He really enjoys the parade, and we've been watching it for a couple of years now. My husband actually cooked for Thanksgiving. He usually does. His specialty is lasagna for Thanksgiving, and honestly, I love his lasagna. It's really good. It's a little spicy for my palate, but it was actually really delicious, and there was some extra for our house here. So his specialty, I think, is lasagna and spaghetti. Love those 2 that he makes. So he actually cooked for Thanksgiving. He actually usually does every year. I don't cook for Thanksgiving so far. I have yet to really make a whole dish. I go there for the food. I go there with an empty stomach and a plate and a fork and knife, and I'm ready to dive in at both households. And then also with my son, while my husband was cooking, we went to our church and we helped serve food to those who didn't have anyone to spend the holiday with, or like the less fortunate. I think this was a great lesson for my son to start learning at the age of 5, to know that yes, Thanksgiving is all about family and food and the excitement and all that, but you also have to be thankful for what you have, because there are people who don't have what you have. And I'm trying to explain it to him in his 5-year-old brain to be like, you see all these toys that you have and the love that you have from your parents and your grandparents. There are some people out there in the same world that you live in that don't have the same love, that don't get the opportunity to play with all these toys or eat all this food that we're making. You know, that some people do go hungry or don't have family around them. And not for him to feel bad, but just for him to kind of understand the real true meaning behind Thanksgiving and the holiday season of giving back and also being grateful and blessed for what you have. So I think he's starting to get that, but he was also excited to just like wear the gloves and the apron to serve the food. He called himself a chef because we were kind of in the kitchen as well, like plating everything and then bringing it out, and then he served to a couple people. So he was really excited for that, and to see the excitement on his face and his eagerness to just go out there and help, it was really cute and adorable. And then he took like a little break in between, was eating cornbread or something behind the buffet line. And then from there, we ended up packing some to-go boxes and started to deliver them to, like, we went to a common area in my town where there's some like workers, like labor workers who usually sit out there that didn't come to the church. So we actually handed out some food to them as well. And it was me, my mom, and we took my son along, but we kept him in the car, stayed in the car with him. And we were able to like hand them out the to-go boxes along with drinks and stuff just to wish them a happy Thanksgiving. So he got to see a little bit of everything and do a little bit of everything. And that's why he called himself the chef. He was the chef because in his brain, he prepared the food, he served the food, and then he got to hand out the food. And then we took some pictures, of course, and ended the afternoon by going again to both houses, my in-laws and my parents' house. And then, of course, we stay up late and the kids crashed out. So it all worked out in the end. So we had a pretty good, eventful Thanksgiving as every year, as we do. And then next up is Christmas. And then what else happened this weekend? I actually got to see my friends we haven't seen each other in a while, just to hang out and be around them. Like, we stay in touch through our group chat, which goes off all day long. So we're like in each other's lives in that way, but to physically see them and be in the same space was so refreshing. And sometimes you need that girls' time, even though it was a little chaotic because I had my 2 kids. My other friend had her kid as well. But to just be in the same space as my friends was so refreshing, and I can't wait to see them again. But it's been a while, I think, since we were all in the same room together, which shows, you know, that we are all adults now. It's so hard to find like a common schedule, a day where we could all be together in the same space, in the same room at the same time, especially with life going on. But it was great to have a few hours with them and to kiki and to laugh and to roast on each other. And I just miss my friends, but it was great. And that's how I pretty much ended my weekend. So I hope you guys had a great week, like I started off in this podcast. And let's get right into today's episode. Okay, so today we are turning the mic on and diving into something that every mom, auntie, grandma, coworker, or random lady in the grocery store or some social media expert, quote, thinks they know about: pregnancy myths. So all my ladies, this one is for you. You know the stuff that people swear is true when you're pregnant? If you're carrying low, it's a boy. You're eating for 2 now. Don't reach over your head. The baby's cord will wrap. Like, how did we survive all these rules? So today, I would like to break down some of the biggest, the wildest, and the most common pregnancy myths that people still repeat, and we're going to actually debunk them. And of course, I'll sprinkle in some of my own experiences because now that I've been pregnant twice, I think I've heard it all on both sides. So with both of my pregnancies, we did not know the gender until I delivered. And it's actually easier said than done. With my first pregnancy, it was actually pretty easy because I was pregnant during COVID, so the whole world was closed. So I had nothing really to think about other than like tuning in to see Governor Cuomo at this time give us some new update of the vaccines or what's happening like with borders or with the restrictions and clothing of the state and all that stuff. I found other ways to have the time go by. Like I was just thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a first time parent, making sure I had all the gender neutral stuff and making sure my registry was all set, and I was like knocking off all the things in the category, as well as we went through kind of an emotional moment during my pregnancy with the loss of my father-in-law as well. So my mind was kind of busy at that time, so I didn't have a lot of time to really focus on what we're having. But I feel like not knowing what you're having when you're pregnant is actually the one time in your life that you get to be surprised. Other than like for the woman's perspective, other than being proposed to, not knowing the gender of your baby, I feel like is the one surprise you get to have and you get to live through. And I wanted to live through that experience. And we did it one time. And then when we got pregnant with our second, we did it again. We didn't want to know the sex of our baby. And maybe because we did it before, it was easier the second time. Again, my mind was going through other things. Now I had a toddler to keep me busy for most of my days and making sure that he was good and of course fed. We were working on potty training at this time when I was pregnant and just juggling a toddler while being pregnant. So yes, my mind was occupied, and then I also had mom brain. So I wasn't really focused on the gender of my kid. And then later on in my pregnancy, it was kind of not a complicated pregnancy. My gosh, I had a high risk pregnancy towards the end. So then it was like more of what's going to happen with me and making a plan with my doctors of delivery and coordinating all of that. We had also ended up switching hospitals. So my mind was preoccupied other than what we're having. But that's the fun in it as well. Yes, it made it a little harder for the registry, not knowing the sex of our babies, because we couldn't be like gender specific really with colors like blue for boy or pink for girls or all the florals for girls or, you know, the sports trucks type of, you know, characters for boys. But I already have a gender basic wardrobe for myself personally, and going into dressing my kids, even now, I kind of dress them in gender neutral tones, really for my son, because we're teaching him and he's at that age where he wants to pick out his own clothes. So I just want to make sure that everything matches of what he picks out. So I try to stay away from like character clothes or anything wild in that sense. Even though my favorite color is pink, I'm a very black, white, gray, now I'm throwing in some brown tones type of girl. Very uniformed in that way, and I guess it's overflowing into my kids' wardrobes, but there are some nice things that are just neutral toned, and that's where I kind of went also with our registry when it came to the clothes for them. We did get some pinks, some blues, you know, we did some returns and exchanges, but we got some yellows and greens, and then it wasn't too much either of like the clothes options. More so we got like the little burp cloths, tons of diapers, which we were grateful for, and gift cards. So then when the baby was born, we knew what we had. That's when we would go shopping for their clothes if we wanted to stick to like the bluer palettes. I did go a little overboard once I knew we had a girl, once I delivered my daughter, and like a few hours after her birth, I was on a website and I started ordering some floral patterns and the girly things and the bows and the pinks. But even her wardrobe now is a little kind of neutral palette, or I'm trying to keep it that way. So it's not that hard. It can be done. So let's start off with the first myth. With myth number 1 that us pregnant mamas always hear. You're eating for 2. You're pregnant now. Congratulations. Eat whatever you want. You're eating for two. This is the classic OG myth. Now listen, did I enjoy some cravings? Absolutely. If you're pregnant right now and you're listening to this episode, go get that mango, treat yourself to some ice cream, get that pizza or whatever your heart desires. But the whole eating for two thing is not really true in the way that people think. Now let's debunk this. When you're pregnant, you're not supposed to double your calories. The baby that's inside of you is not ordering DoorDash. Your brain is not ordering DoorDash. Most pregnancies only require about 300 extra calories in the second and third trimester, which is like a yogurt or a granola bar, not a buffet. Or if you're like me, eating with your eyes. That was something that I always do before pregnancy, while pregnant, definitely while I was postpartum. But you don't have to eat for two. You're not eating for two. Or if you have multiples, you're not eating for those two in you plus yourself as three. My personal take on this, with our first pregnancy, we got pregnant really fast. We got married in July and then found out in November that we were expecting. So I like to say that I was domestic for like only 3 months of my marriage so early on, because the smell of meat was horrifying to me. I could not tolerate it, even into my second trimester. After the second trimester, I didn't have really any cravings, but I just felt hungry a lot. And when I didn't eat at a specific time, like if I was hungry, I needed to eat right away. Didn't matter what it was. I just needed something in my stomach, or else I'll get these terrible gas pains and then just feel nauseous for the rest of the day. Now, with my second pregnancy, with my daughter, oh my God, pizza. Pizza was my thing. I could have pizza for breakfast, lunch, dinner. A pie pizza, 2 slices of pizza, any type of pizza, cheese, margarita, pepperoni. Something about the sauce and the bread was so delicious to me. It was everything. And actually, one of my best friends, my daughter's godmother actually, she ordered me and had delivered a whole pie of pizza for me for my birthday. Talk about friendship. That was the thing. And it was like a running joke that once I delivered this baby, the baby was going to come out with like marinara sauce and cheese all over them, because the way I would devour and ask for pizza and just enjoy every last bite was so satisfying to me. And then to down it with like a soda. I had to end it with a soda. That was my meal. You couldn't tell me anything else. To keep Tammy happy while she was pregnant, second pregnancy, was with a pie of pizza. Also, I'm known as a soda drinker. I love my soda, specifically Pepsi, and I love my coffee. This mama runs on caffeine and Pepsi. Before pregnancy and now after. But for both pregnancies, actually, I couldn't tolerate caffeine. This is probably going to be one of the myths that we could debunk right now. But they tell you you're supposed to have like maybe an extra 300 milligrams of coffee or caffeine while you're pregnant. That's equivalent to maybe a Dunkin' Donuts medium coffee. Don't quote me. I should have started off with this segment saying that I am not a medical professional with these myths. These are from my experiences. So anything I say, don't take it to heart. If you're pregnant right now, please advise your doctors, your OBs. This is just from one pregnant mama's experience. So I think it was like 300 milligrams is like the maximum that you could intake in caffeine while pregnant. So with my first pregnancy, again, going into the first, I didn't know. It was after my first appointment, and the doctor was like, yeah, you could have coffee. That's fine. No problem. We went straight to Dunkin' Donuts. I ordered myself a medium coffee, as I usually do. I took the first sip. I spit it out. It was so disgusting. Caffeine was so nasty. And it was terrible because I love my coffee. I love my lattes since I was a kid. And it's not that I need the caffeine to get through my day. It was more of a taste. And at this point too, I was drinking it with a lot of sugar. So bad. But it was disgusting. And I spit it out and I threw out the cup. And I'm mad I wasted like $4 and change on that coffee. And for the remainder of the pregnancy, I had no caffeine. I was even scared to drink like Pepsi. It was more of a ginger ale or one of the light sodas. I think I dabbled into Sprite occasionally. And knowing that this was my reaction with caffeine with my first pregnancy, with my second pregnancy, I didn't even have any coffee at all. I did enjoy the Pepsi. The Pepsi I was able to tolerate. But coffee, like I would crave it, but I was like, no, I know it's disgusting, because even the smell of it for me made me a little bit nauseous. So just hand me pizza and Pepsi, and I got through my day. But I definitely needed the coffee at that time because I was really tired. So I say all this to say, mamas, while you're pregnant, enjoy your cravings, nourish your body, but you do not need 2 plates at every meal. Unless it's Thanksgiving, that's when all bets are off, and wear your stretchy pants. Myth number 2. You can tell the baby's gender by how you're carrying. You're carrying low. That's a boy. Your face looks round. Must be a girl. Your belly is wide. It's a girl. I had women in my life swearing they knew the gender of my babies before even the ultrasound text. You couldn't tell me the amount of times people were either trying to guess or make me like second guess myself of the genders of my babies based off how I was carrying. I can say that for both my pregnancies, my bellies looked exactly the same. I felt like I was carrying like in between. It is like weird. I don't think I was carrying from my point of view. I mean, I'm looking at my belly, like upside down, I guess. But when I was pregnant with my son, could be because it was the first pregnancy, I felt I was a little bit more round, like it was more of a circle, versus with my second pregnancy, I was a little bit more pointed out, but it could have been the position of the baby. And it's just funny that even though I didn't know the sex of both my pregnancies, and I had a boy and a girl, but I couldn't tell if I was carrying high or low. But something about that mom intuition, I already knew what I was having without even knowing. When we did the anatomy scan, we let all of our doctors know that we didn't want to know the genders of the babies. It was on my birth plan. It was on all my charts going into all my appointments. So they already knew, when it came up to that point for the scan, or anytime they're looking at the baby, when it came to looking at the genitals, to let us both know to close our eyes. And we did. No one peeked or anything. We didn't have a gender reveal or anything like that. But with both my kids, both pregnancies, I had a dream about both of them. And I had a dream of holding both kids and knowing the gender of both of them. For my son, I dreamt I was in the kitchen at my parents' house holding a baby boy. It just came to me. And then, because I remember even telling my husband, like, I feel like this is a boy. And even when we're talking about the pregnancy to other people, I would find myself slipping up and saying he. And then they were like, oh my God, you're having a boy. And I'd be like, oh no, we don't know. It's just something that, like, I would just naturally just say he when referencing the baby when I was pregnant. And similarly, when I was pregnant the second time, I had a dream that I was actually holding a baby girl, or the swaddle or the blanket that I was holding the baby in was pink, but I was in my bedroom. That was also a dream, premonition, whatever you want to call it for both of them. And then I found myself sometimes just saying she naturally, which was weird because at this point, my son was already born and living. He was like 4. So you would have thought I would be used to saying he in reference to my son. But I found myself when talking about the baby, I would say, oh, she, or it. Like, I would catch myself, and then people would say the same thing. Oh, you're having a girl. I'm like, no, we don't know. It's a surprise. And then some people were like, no, you guys really know. You're just waiting to announce it. It was like, no, we had no clue. We didn't know what we were having for both until the doctor delivered and was like, it's a boy, it's a girl. And then that's when we said their names. So I just remember distinctly just referencing both pregnancies, both babies, of what they came out to be. So it's something I think the mother's intuition knows versus these myths of how you're carrying. And then it goes on with the boys, make the mother's hair. If a mother is pregnant with a boy, it makes her hair more glorious and lustrous and voluminous and all that shine. And then the girl sucks all the beauty away from the mom, like these old wives' tales, right? But I don't think that was true for either of them, because I always had thin hair, but I just felt like my hair was just thin and not as luscious during both pregnancies. And then as far as my skin, pregnancy acne is a thing because I had it for both of them. So I couldn't tell you if it's a boy or girl, but the breakouts was something serious for both pregnancies, and I can't explain what that is other than saying hormones. So let's debunk it. How you carry is based on your body type, muscle tone, uterus shape, and how many babies you've had, not gender. Carrying low doesn't equal boy. Carrying high doesn't equal girl. It just equals you're pregnant. Myth number 3. If you have heartburn, your baby will have a lot of hair. Now this one. Let me tell you. I don't know about this myth. I'm still a little 50-50 because both my kids had a lot of hair. I'm jealous. As I said earlier, I have very thin hair. This could be from genetics, the autoimmune disease I have, or just hair tension, wearing braids and protective styles my whole life. I don't know, but I'm so jealous of both my kids. They have so much hair, and not just on their head. Eyebrows, I don't have any. They have it all. Eyelashes, my daughter's eyelashes, the most beautiful things ever. You would think she's wearing falsies at 10 months old. I want that. I haven't waxed my eyebrows in so long because I don't have any. But these kids came out with so much hair. But with my son, heartburn was excruciating. It was so bad. I've never had heartburn before until I was pregnant with my first. And nothing would get rid of it. I had Tums in my car, in my pocket, on my nightstands, at my desk for work. Like, I was taking it, popping Tums like they were Tic Tacs or gum, but that didn't help. I'm not really a milk or dairy person other than in my coffee, but I would have to drink ice cold milk with ice. Like cold milk from the fridge, add some ice cubes in it, chug it just to relieve the burning sensation in my chest from the heartburn. And I would get it from eating anything. I said I didn't really like meat when I was pregnant. I didn't. But I could be eating French fries, a burger, a salad, anything, and the heartburn will come. And I remember saying to myself, because I believe this myth, like, oh my God, if this baby does not have a head full of hair, I'm pushing it back in. And this was like maybe going into my second and third trimester all the way up until delivery. The heartburn was so bad, and sleeping, laying down made it even worse. Like, you're already uncomfortable while pregnant with this huge belly. Can't be comfortable sleeping on your back. Obviously can't sleep on your stomach, and I'm kind of a stomach sleeper. It's best to sleep on your left side because that's where all the blood flows. But whatever position I was in, the pregnancy pillow, I was fighting that because laying down triggered the heartburn even more. And it was just terrible. I don't wish that on anyone, not even my worst enemy. Now with my daughter, you would think I would have had heartburn, especially with the amount of pizza I was eating, but nothing. I had no heartburn for her. And that's what made me think like, maybe I'm having a girl this time. Because there were moments I would have certain symptoms the same and I'm like, oh, it's probably a boy. But then different symptoms like not experiencing heartburn or the intensity of the heartburn with this pregnancy. And I'm like, wait, maybe this is a girl. But she came out with a head full of hair, still has it. I was just like, how? Comparing two pregnancies, two different symptoms with the heartburns, but they both have a head full of hair. And that's why I'm 50-50. I just know with my son, with him, I did take the epidural. So obviously I'm numb from the waist down. I didn't feel when to push. So I asked for a mirror so I could see his head coming out or the baby's head coming out so I could know when to push. And when I saw the amount of hair coming out from me, I was like, oh my God, this explains all the heartburn. For my daughter, I remember we were at one ultrasound. I was probably maybe like 30 weeks or something. And even the ultrasound tech was like, wow, this is amazing. I could see all the hair in the ultrasound. And she showed us, like, you could see the little spikes flowing. And she's like, this baby's going to have a head full of hair. And I was like, really? I'm not experiencing any heartburn. And she's like, oh, you're not? So it's like she's kind of agreeing with me, like correlating heartburn with a head full of hair. But it was just amazing to see the hair. I don't think I've ever seen that before in an ultrasound, like hair in the ultrasound, and we have that picture. So it's just funny. I had two different experiences with heartburns, but both my kids have a head full of hair. I'm so jealous. So that myth, I wouldn't say it's a myth. For me, in my personal experience, I don't know if it's true. So let's debunk this. There's a tiny sprinkle of scientific truth. Some hormones that cause heartburn might also stimulate baby hair growth, but heartburn does not automatically mean your child is coming out ready for hair bolts, except for my kids. Myth number 4. Pregnancy is always magical and glowy. Oh yes, on social media. There are these social media mamas, these pregnant women who make pregnancy look so glorious, so beautiful with their routines, their get readies with me, the oils on their belly, and, you know, waking up, making breakfast, and then if they have multiple kids, getting them ready for school or about their day. No. Again, this is from my point of view. If you've experienced that, that's great. My version of it, like, yes, I did not have morning sickness for both my pregnancies. That's one thing I can say. I did not throw up or experience that much of nausea where I had to throw up, where my head is in the toilet for like the first trimester of my pregnancies, but it was still exhausting, and I don't think I found it as glowy and magical. I could say there are 2 moments for both my pregnancies where I felt glowy, and they happened to be for my maternity shoots because I was wearing makeup, and then I actually put on like clothes, and I wasn't in sweatpants or basketball shorts. I don't even know where to start with how you feel during pregnancy. Your body no longer belongs to you. It's like, you know, you're growing something in you and your body's working overtime to create this new life, but your body is not yours anymore because you're getting bigger. Like, your feet are expanding, your fingers are bigger, the jewelry that you used to wear no longer fit you. If you're pregnant and married, your wedding bands, your wedding rings no longer fit you. You have hair, or you're losing hair already. There's extra hair that's appearing in other areas that are normally not there. Even your clothes don't fit. You're trying to fit into clothes that fit your pre-pregnancy body, but your body is growing literally every day. And then you find yourself at the store trying to purchase new maternity clothes. With both my pregnancies, I didn't purchase maternity clothes. I did buy my first pair of maternity jeans with my first pregnancy. I just didn't like the way they fit in the band that covers the belly. So I just bought clothes like in 3XL or 2XL just to accommodate my body. And with my first pregnancy, I was pregnant over the summer, so I wore a lot of maxi dresses. They're already stretchy and flowy, so I just stretched them out even more to the max. Shoes, forget it. Your shoe size changes during pregnancy and then after you deliver. The way your body moves and how it feels, you're adjusting your sleeping schedule and your sleeping habits. No longer sleeping on your stomach. If you're a stomach sleeper, you have to sleep on your side. As I said earlier, sleeping on your left side makes the blood flow and all that scientific stuff for the baby to have all those nutrients and all that stuff. So sleeping on your left side is highly recommended. But then even that's not comfortable. You get a pregnancy pillow and you're tossing and turning, and from the lack of sleep, your skin is going to be affected. There's the pregnancy hormones where you have breakouts and acne, and then welcome widow's peaks and dark circles, and then your hair is already disheveled, and welcome the mom bun before you even become a mom, because your hair is probably already either breaking out or falling out even before the baby is here. It's just a lot. And I mean, kudos to those women out there who make it look so simple and easy and put together. But for some moms, which is me, I don't think I looked glowy or magical. I mean, there's this thing called like the pregnancy face, where your nose expands as well as your face is getting bigger. You look plumper, your body's working hard here. You're growing something, and some women do feel sexy while pregnant. I don't think I did again until I took my maternity pictures just based off the poses. But yes, pregnancy and carrying a new life is magical in its own right. You're creating life. You're carrying life. You're bringing life into this new world. Your body is going through this huge change. But at the same time, because your body is going through this huge change that, is for months. Like, this is not just a 1 day or 1 week process. It's like every day, every month for the next 9 to 10 months, your body is changing to accommodate another human growing inside you. And then don't even get me started on postpartum and what happens to the shift in your body and hormones after the baby comes out. But we'll save that for another episode. So let's debunk this. Pregnancy can be magical, but it can also be nausea, swelling, insomnia, waddling, and crying because someone ate the last cookie, or in my case, the last slice of pizza. So here are some of my personal reflections. Myths don't define your pregnancy. Trust your body. Your body is made to do this as a woman. So here are some quick fire myths. The myth: spicy food causes preterm labor. The truth: no. Enjoy it if you can. The myth: you can't have coffee. Truth: you can, up to 200 milligrams. Myth: pregnant women shouldn't exercise. The truth: light, moderate movement is healthy. Okay, so I'm going to end this here today because we covered a lot. There are probably several others or 100 more myths that I didn't cover today. Other old wives' tales, other cultural tales and stories that you've heard during your pregnancy, or others, or that you've said to other women, because I know I sure have. So if you enjoyed this episode, please share it, leave a review, DM me your myths. I would love to hear your stories. I want to hear the wild ones. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you for being here. And as always, the scales may tip, but you're still standing. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Balancing the Scales with Tammy A. Make sure you follow us on all socials at balancingthescales.pod. And don't forget, real life isn't meant to be perfect, but we show up where we can. See you in the next episode.